My sister lied about our brother, and I accidentally revealed it.
Uh-oh. Hopefully that wasn't an important secret.
Now it's in the open. Oh boy. Usually a lurker, but something happened tonight that has me incredibly confused. Apologies in advance for the length. Backstory. I'm the eldest of 4 sisters. We are stair-stepped 2 years apart. I'm Meg, 38, Joe, 36, Beth, 34, Amy,
Little women.
32.
It's all women. It's little women.
By the way, this comes from user Lurk and Throwaway 85, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit. So, our parents used to joke about how they kept trying for a boy, but finally gave up after girl number 4. Not gonna lie, it hurt our feelings a little, especially Amy, but they stopped that and assured us that they wouldn't change anything. Every one of us has at least one daughter. I am the only sister that has a son. At 17, he's the eldest grandchild, and I'm fairly certain he's my dad's favorite person in the world. They are best friends. It's adorable. Okay, now that you have the backstory/family history, let's talk about tonight. My son, who is very intelligent and absolutely crushed high school, recently received his acceptance letter to a prestigious university. Full ride. We are incredibly proud. My folks wanted to throw him a little congratulatory party, and tonight worked for all of our schedules, which is no small feat with 4 different families and 11 kids between them. So we all headed to the folks' house for pizza and cake. At one point, Amy brought up that it is Sibling Appreciation Day, and Mom said she wanted all of her girls to say what we appreciated about our sisters, and we go youngest to oldest, with most of the compliments going to me, as I was kind of a second mom to them. I told each of my sisters how much I loved them, among other things, and then finished my speech off saying something like, and I really appreciate that we didn't have any gross boys stinking up our house. Everybody except Beth and her husband laughed. Beth's eyes got really big, and her husband, Chase, looked at me like I was something he scraped off the bottom of his shoe. Suddenly, he says, "That's pretty effed up." I said something like, "I don't know, Chase. I've smelled you after your workouts. It's pretty bad." And he got even more mad and said, "How could you talk about Tyler like that?" And Beth starts losing her mind, guys. She's grabbing him by the arm and begging him to hush, saying they need to go home now, etc. So naturally, I'm like, who's Tyler? Well, friends, apparently Tyler is Beth's twin that passed away during childbirth. And it made our folks and me so depressed that nobody is allowed to speak of him or reference him ever. What just happened? What just happened?
Oh, I think that Beth lied. I think Beth made up a secret brother and told her husband Chase.
Oh my God.
I think she told Chase that they had a secret brother that passed away.
Or that, yeah, both of those things.
And that no one, never mentioned it to my family because they're just so torn up about it, but it was a lie.
Oh my God. Chase was so right, though, to be like,
yeah.
If that's what Chase was told in the moment, to be like, yeah, okay, that's actually really messed up.
Yeah.
Why would you say that?
That makes a little bit more sense. That makes a little more sense.
Oh my God.
He's like,
oh my God.
Like, you guys had a brother.
Why would you say that?
He passed away.
And they're like, what?
They're like, who's Tyler?
Huh? So Beth had forbade him from ever mentioning him to any family member. After Chase told us this, nobody said a word. It was so dang tense. Finally, I just kind of bluntly said, "I'm not sure why, but Beth lied to you about this. I think you guys should talk about it, but I don't want to hear anything else about this tonight, as we're here to celebrate my son." After that, Beth burst into tears and ran into her old bedroom with Chase, Mom, and Joe following her. Party never fully recovered, and they took off pretty shortly after that. I stayed behind to help clean, and so my dad and son could hang some more. While I'm doing the dishes, my mom scolded me pretty harshly about calling Beth a liar. "If the shoe fits, Mother." My dad said I wasn't wrong, but I had embarrassed Beth. What the heck was I supposed to do? I was getting chastised over a lie. Absolutely not. Beth also texted me that I effed her over, and a text from Chase's phone told me I was the actual liar, and everyone knows that.
Now Chase is texting her?
Well, Chase is being like, "You're the liar. Everyone knows you're the liar," but it could have been her sister just texting from Chase's phone. Who knows? Amy is on my side, but she and Beth always butted heads. Joe claims she's neutral, but she also told me I didn't have to call her out like that. What was I supposed to do? Just take the lashing? And why is everyone acting like me calling out what I consider to be a pretty heavy lie is worse than the lie itself? How do we resolve the situation? I love my sister so dang much. They are my best friends, but this is so weird and so wrong to me. We have some relevant comments.
I just don't understand why everyone's blaming you for being like, that's not true.
Yeah, literally you were
Like,
put in a
that's all you
situation
said. You're like,
where Chase was like, why are you cracking jokes about your passed away
yeah.
brother?
And you're like, we don't have a brother. That's not true.
You're happy that there's no stinky boys here? Like the boy that was supposed to be in your family? And
No,
everyone's just like, what are we talking?
I don't understand what you were supposed to say.
Yeah, you
Like,
said
everyone was
exactly
silent.
what you should have said, which is like, hey, like that guy doesn't exist and never did.
I don't understand why everyone's attacking you. I'll say it. I don't get it.
Yeah.
What if they're all just like, you didn't know about Tyler?
Yeah, imagine it's like, what, you didn't know? They all just start, they hop on the
No,
train.
they're like, yes, Tyler.
Comment 1, I can't imagine any other response. I really can't. Were you seriously expected to lie along with her? I think that is shocking. OP says, I have no idea what she was expecting. I have lied for her before, but saying she's at my house while she's really getting boudoir photos done for him is not the same as lying about a whole person that never existed. It is beyond bizarre. Comment 2, I'm kind of impressed that after all of that, she managed to convince her husband that you were the liar. Of course, if he still believes her, he is dumb as a brick. I think there is proof enough on her birth certificate, as it will state she was a single birth. OP says, I will say Chase is not a dummy, and he's typically not malicious. And although nobody really backed me up about this being a lie, at least not in front of me, I think it's pretty obvious that I was telling the truth, as everyone else was obviously confused and completely silent in the moment. I have not responded to the text as I'm not looking to burn bridges. I've made many mistakes, and my sisters have graciously forgiven me. I'm just flummoxed and a little hurt. Comment 3 says, this is very weird. I'm confused at why your parents aren't embarrassed by your sister's behavior, especially trying to keep up the lie afterwards and saying you're lying. Is she mentally okay? Does she have a history of lying? OP says, we all lied as kids, but I assumed she grew out of it as an adult. We also all exhibited some attention-seeking behavior, but again, age-appropriate, especially for a family with 4 kids and 2 parents who worked full-time. I like that comment just being like, oh, people's like, well, we did lie as kids, but we grew out of it. It's like, well, every kid lies.
Kid lies, yeah.
Every kid wants attention.
Yeah.
My parents are hippies and have a very much live and let live kind of vibe, but this feels icky, very no good to me. So I'm a little surprised that they're not more upset about it. Then again, they never punished us in front of each other, so they could be dealing with it or planning to deal with the situation behind the scenes. Either way, Beth is way too old to be making up these kinds of stories about siblings that never existed. Comment 4 said, your sister dug herself into a weird hole and is now mad that she has to dig her way out of it and is placing that anger on you for accidentally handing her the shovel. If she wants to blame anyone for being caught in a lie, she can look in the mirror. How do you fix it? Your sister has to pull her head out of her butt and apologize for putting you all in that position. And then you can think about apologizing for being blunt about it. But to be honest, I don't feel you did anything wrong exactly here. You had no idea what was going on and why you're being accused of being a bad person, and literally just wanted the focus back on your son's achievements.
Also, yeah, the beginning of that conversation was OP being attacked. I think it's pretty fair for OP to address that bluntly and being like, why am I being attacked for being a bad person when my sister was the liar?
It's like what
you're
was I
being
supposed to do?
attacked.
Just be like, actually, yeah, I did just make maybe the worst joke I could ever make about my deceased brother.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's, oops, I'm disgusting.
Sorry.
It's not like you accidentally spilled a secret you were supposed to keep. Your sister created this entire mess and should probably explain to you guys why she did it in the first place. OP says, I appreciate your input and kind words. I don't like drama, so I find it best to just kind of stop it in its tracks. And my son, we recently got an autism diagnosis, which was formerly referred to as Asperger's, and it's messed with his head a little. He's always been so bad socially and really struggled making friends. As a result, his cousins got the bulk of the attention. He was really proud of himself, and I wanted him to remember this little get-together because it was all about him for once. Comment 5. Your sister is a freak weirdo. Damn.
Straight to the point.
Number 1, your sister's a freak weirdo, okay?
I mean, is it inaccurate? I don't know. Making up a passed away twin for what? Sympathy? Attention? She effed up and everyone knows it. Why anyone would want to cover up her lie is beyond me. She made her bed, let her deal with the repercussions of this outrageous lie. Question though, did or have your parents tried to set the record straight with her idiot hubby, or are they staying silent about this alleged twin baby that never existed? OP says, when I told Chase she was lying, nobody backed me up, but I believe it was kind of obvious because nobody refuted my claims. That, coupled with Beth frantically trying to get her husband to leave, Chase is smart. He can put two and two together. I mentioned in another comment that our parents never punished us or really got onto us in front of each other. So I would like to think they're handling things on that end behind the scenes and trying to appeal to my dislike of drama and empathy to get me to forgive her. I don't find the lie unforgivable. I think it's bizarre and I don't appreciate it, but I don't think our relationship is over. I love her. I took her on her first date. Took her and a boy to get ice cream and they held hands. We lied to our parents about that one.
That's cute.
Yeah,
That's
it's like
nice.
Yeah, I don't think this is a moment that like permanently alters your dynamic as like sisters or anything.
Literally, what this feels like is your sister told a really weird lie. You were like, "That's a lie," and then she's like, "Dude, why didn't you back me up on my lie?" And you're like,
"Because I'm not going to be the guy who slam dunks on Tyler."
Yeah,
I'll just put it that way. I helped take care of her when she was postpartum because Chase had to work. She's got my heart, you know? Comment 6 says, just to be clear, you do recognize this level of lie as a mental health disorder, correct? While I am not a therapist, this very much sounds like some strain of Munchausen's. Again, not a therapist, just therapy adjacent in training and work, so I have some familiarity. So get her some professional help. This is not just a cry for help. This is a sign of a broken brain that requires professional help and maybe even medical intervention.
I feel like we're jumping to conclusions before we have the full story.
Probably. OP says, I work in healthcare, albeit not directly in the mental health field, but I am a little familiar with various disorders. I do actually think she's a hypochondriac. One of my nieces is always coming down with something. They are not. Or my sister definitely has Crohn's disease. She does not. She won't drink milk if it's within 3 days of the best buy date. Refuses bread pudding because you use old bread to make them. Won't eat brownies I baked from scratch the day before because they're old. So I know she's got some issues. But hey, we all have issues. I'm pretty emotionally closed off, except to my spouse and children. Some people think that makes me a B. I try not to be too judgmental, because I'm definitely not perfect, but I'm judging the F out of this. We have an update. I mean, what do we care most about in this story? The apology or the acknowledgement from the family that it's like, hey, I wasn't wrong to call her out in that moment.
No, I literally just want to know why she lied.
Yeah, I just want to know where this came from.
I just want to know why.
Let's get into the update. Okay, I think we have some answers regarding the events that occurred last night. I do want to tell everyone who took the time to give advice or kind words, thank you. I honestly couldn't read everything. I was and am exhausted, but I did get an idea of how I wanted to approach everything. Thanks to the advice given. My post says it was removed, blah, blah, blah. It is not fake. I wish it was. I really wish my mind worked in a way where I could make things up like this, but my imagination is lacking. 2, your parents named you after Little Women. This is probably partially to blame for the fake comments. These are just placeholder names I used, as there are 4 sisters in that novel. There's 7 points here. I'm going to read them all. Beth is continuing to lie, and Chase is believing it, and your mom and Joe threw you under the bus too. About Chase, I think he knew I was being truthful. Also, I said the text came from his phone. I was thinking, actually, Beth sent it, as that's not Chase's vibe. About mom and Joe, they didn't throw me under the bus, but I'll get more into that soon. 4, is it possible my mom had twins, and I just forgot or didn't know about? No, absolutely not. I was at all of my sister's births. I don't remember Joe's, but I do remember Beth and Amy's, and there were no multiples, no funerals, no depression. Number 5, the birth certificate will prove it. I'm sure it would, but I'm not about to try to strong-arm my sister into showing her husband her birth certificate. 6, your sister is mentally ill, also the golden child, and you're the scapegoat. I'm not about to say my sister is sick, but I do think she has some issues. As we all do, there's no golden child and the scapegoat in this family. My parents were and are really good about treating all of us fairly and equally. 7, you could have or should have been more tactful and pulled her aside and not called her a liar in front of everybody. Had I known that Tyler was my fictitious passed away brother, I never would have asked who he was. Chase and I tease each other a lot, and I honestly thought he was about to come out with some kind of funny joke a la D's nuts. Regarding my lack of tact, I don't know. I think it's pretty lacking in tact to make up a whole passed away sibling. And really, facts are facts. She lied, and that's that. The night was about my son. So I squashed the issue and chose to move forward, hoping to end the conversation with as little drama as possible. Now here's the update. After a night of barely sleeping and my blood pressure dangerously high, I called my mom this morning, fully ready to let out an emotionally charged tirade about how I feel they unfairly threw me under the bus and took Beth's side when she objectively did the worst thing. My mom answered the phone, apologizing, and asked me to just listen.
Ooh. Explanation?
Explanation immediately?
Explanation right now?
Let's go. When she and Joe followed Beth and Chase into Beth's room, Mom did tell Chase that Tyler was not real and that this is an issue between her and Chase and they should probably leave because she didn't want the evening ruined. She did get on to me, but it was mostly out of sympathy and empathy for Beth, and she recognized it wasn't okay. She apologized for that. We spoke with Chase this morning, and Beth, who is the one who sent me the text from Chase's phone, finally came clean early this morning after hours of denying the lie. Something I didn't mention, as I didn't feel it was pertinent to the story, is that Beth's eldest daughter, Madison, isn't Chase's biological daughter. He's been around since Madison was 2. Also kind of pertinent is that Chase is a first responder. He loves to be a hero, and he's very good at that role. He met Beth doing victims advocacy, and as such, I believe they both view him as saving Beth. This has long been speculated, but it's not exactly our place to say anything, and we all love Chase. He is an amazing person. Also, Beth is no dummy. She picked up on Chase's hero complex immediately. It appears that in an effort to make herself more sympathetic, vulnerable, or broken, she lied about having a twin brother that passed away at birth.
Which is basically what we said.
Essentially, yeah. Just like,
still crazy.
Pay attention to me, like me more, give me more attention, but never speak of this.
Don't ever bring it up, okay?
Never speak of this to my family.
It's like a Beetlejuice situation. You can't say his name.
Can you imagine if this had never happened and Chase at one point brings up to I don't know, like their mom just randomly so it's I don't know, I was just bringing up Tyler in some way.
Tyler,
and then the mom goes, "Who?
Your son?"
And he goes, "I know, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said anything." Yeah. He would have been like, "I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said that.
I shouldn't have brought it up."
And then the mom forever is just going to be like, "What was he talking about?" And Chase is going to be like, "I can't believe I messed up so hard.
I can't believe I brought him up."
God, she's so emotionally distraught. She can't even
remember.
Allow herself to remember. I guess being in a bad relationship and having a small child just wasn't enough. She did not have to do that. They've been together 10 years now, and not once did she come clean. To me, that proves a clear pattern of deceit and manipulation. However, I'm not going to speculate on her mental health problems or reasonings for not coming clean. That is for her and her husband to deal with. Neither one of them have called or texted me to apologize, and I'm honestly unsure if they will. Beth is more of a rug-sweeping type, while I'm a confront issues head-on type. I will not be cutting off my sister for this. I love her, and at the end of the day, I just want her to be happy and healthy. I do hope that this whole issue will cause her to rethink some of her life choices, and maybe she can get some therapy. I think we could all use therapy, to be honest. And by the way, you can all listen to full episodes with stories just like this on Spotify or iHeartRadio or Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to podcasts. Just search OK Storytime and the world is in the palm of your hand. Our proverbial world is in your hand. There is a little bit more story.
So we learned that it was just for attention. Literally what we said.
So now,
which is weird.
I think the most interesting question is not if you were OP, but if you were Chase.
What do you do?
What do you do in Chase's position here?
The thing is, I don't think this is a big enough thing to necessarily divorce over if it's the only thing she's lied about to this extent. But I would be like, that was weird. It was weird of you to do.
Whew. Okay, so that is where we're at right now. My mom did not offer any information about how Beth and Chase are doing, and I did not ask. It's not my business. I have not heard anything from Joe, but Amy and I have been texting all morning, and she is being my best good friend right now and providing a lot of support. Hopefully, we can all move forward and grow together in the future. Thanks again for the support you've sent my way. We have some more comments here. Number 1, I'm glad your mother apologized, but your sister really owes you and the entire family an apology. This was a really selfish and weird thing to do. She also owes Chase and his family an apology. I hope she gets some help from this. Good luck. Comment 2, your sister could probably benefit from therapy. I will never understand why people think it's a good idea to lie about something so easily disproven. Don't lie about anything and you won't have situations blow up like this. I hope she comes to her senses and apologizes to you. Comment 3, I think your family needs to do a sit down with your sister because this isn't normal behavior at all. She lied for 10 years about a passed away brother. Y'all need to call this behavior out since she's way too old to be acting like this, and doing nothing is showing her that you guys will accept similar or the same type of behavior in the future. Commenter 4 says, well, this is why she continues to do this nonsense at her big butt age. No one holds her accountable. You can't move forward and grow together if people don't take accountability. Your entire family enables her in the worst way, which again is a big freaking jump to make off of one situation.
Yeah. Like, I think absolutely
but it is kind of disturbing.
It is disturbing.
To have it go for 10 years is disturbing.
Well, but my wonder is this something that she offhandedly said at the beginning and then he never forgot about and brought up?
Right, exactly.
You know? Like, or was this something that he kept bringing up and she actively has been lying?
I'm putting money on that it was just like this'll make the hot guy have sympathy for me.
Yeah. Which is still like not okay, obviously,
and
but
he
I think there
clearly
is.
did.
I think there's a big difference.
He had a lot of sympathy for that. 10 years later,
10
he's
years
like,
of sympathy.
how dare you say that in front of her?
Stop.
In front of my wife?
Yeah, no, I think there is a big difference, though, between like an active lie that she's been keeping up with or just something that she mentioned and he remembered. My sister's beliefs are starting to ruin our relationship. I want to cut her off.
I believe you stink.
I, 48 female, have 5 siblings. I am the oldest, and for a significant portion of my life, I was the only child since my parents had me as teenagers, married for less than 2 years. Then divorced when my mother turned 18 and dad was 21. I lived with my mom after that and saw dad on occasion. By the way, this comes from SelectGoat5572, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to r/OKStorytime subreddit. So, I wanted siblings very much growing up. My half-brother was born when I was 9, and he is definitely my favorite, even though he has severe autism and only speaks in one-word sentences.
Okay.
We have the same mom, but different dads. Being a sibling to someone with a mental disability hardwires you into a certain kind of person, one who forgives things very easily and who stays under the radar. That's the kind of person I am, just FYI. My 3 step-siblings I no longer talk to, even though one of them I do want to be in contact with. Another story for another day. The meat of the story is this. My youngest sister is almost 14 years younger than me, and we share a dad. She was technically my second sibling, even though I was a bit jealous to see my dad be a better dad to her than he ever was to me. I'd had him all to myself until she was born. I was still very happy to have her in my life, and I put in a lot of effort to be around her while she was growing up. Eventually, I realized we grew up with 2 different versions of our dad. I got fun dad, and she got strict dad. So the jealousy only lasted a few years. Our dad passed away in 2008. She was 18 and I was 32. And she moved in with me and my family for a couple of months before she decided she didn't like my rules and moved out. In 2011, she told me she felt she was better off without me and no longer wanted me in her life. Wow. I tried to find out why, but she wouldn't tell me. For 2 months, I texted and emailed asking her to at least give me a reason. And when she wouldn't, I gave up and said I loved her and was there for her if she needed me. She contacted me the very next day and forgave me, but still never told me why. After that, I felt like I was walking on eggshells.
No way. I refuse. I'm not accepting that.
No, you need to tell me a reason. In 2016, we went on a road trip and got into a major fight, one that broke something inside me. I ended the trip early and brought us home. We were in my car, and for 13 hours, she yelled and screamed at me with breaks in between.
Well, I hope you were using the brakes.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Wait. But also, she's like screaming at you, and then she's like, okay, hold on. I have to go on my phone for a couple of minutes.
Yeah. She's like, oh my God, wait, hold on. This is my jam. Hold up. This is my jam. My jam
and
just
then she's
turned
like,
on.
you suck. Okay, wait. Okay, back to it.
Yeah.
I seriously considered leaving her at a bus stop, but when she would stop, I thought she was done and would continue on. Within an hour, she would start all over again. This was October, and after I dropped her off, I felt like I was never going to talk to her again. Like I was done with her. I had never been that mad in my entire life. I started seeing a therapist around that time for job counseling, and my therapist told me that my youngest sibling might be bipolar. Keep that in mind. Being told that about a family member makes you reframe your thinking a bit like, should I forgive her? No, you just go with that information and you say, hey, you should probably get some help. Doesn't mean that you have to accept all of the treatment that you're getting.
I wouldn't forgive her until she comes to you in a manner where it seems like she is seeking forgiveness.
And also in a manner that she's getting like, she's also getting help too. Right now, like nothing is happening.
Yeah.
At Thanksgiving of that year, that was when my relationship with the stepsister I loved ended. Her mom married and divorced our dad, and I instigated it. I sent her a text. Another long story, so I'll just leave it at that. What? My stepsister didn't respond, but the day after that, my youngest sister sent me a slew of nasty text messages saying she was cutting me off before I cut her off because obviously family didn't mean anything to me. I let her and went no contact. I wanted to leave it that way, I really did, when January 2017 came around. But her mom passed away. I didn't want to be the type of wiener sibling that didn't even show for a funeral because I felt we would probably make up one day, but I was waiting until I was no longer angry. I went to the funeral. We agreed to talk and try to patch things up, but she told me I would have to change things about myself. 2 days later, after she ripped me apart for an hour, I got up and walked away from her, determined to stick to my no contact decision. Oh, and this is where the kid part comes in. She was pregnant at the time with her first child. I let her rip me apart because she was pregnant and had high blood pressure, and we passed away of heart attacks in my family. That was how our dad had passed. I didn't even defend myself against the horrible things she said to me that day because I wanted her to have a stress-free pregnancy, and I was worried that if I spoke, she would lose the baby.
Well, maybe also her going off on you, probably not great for her blood pressure. I think generally you could just be like, hey, we should all just calm down.
Yeah.
Which, as we all know, is the best thing to say to someone who's worked up.
Yeah. That's true. Probably a better way to say it. I say that because my first child was born 6 weeks early when my old blood pressure spiked from a stressful situation my ex-stepmother put me through. Again, long story, another day. From January to October of that year, my sister got married. I wasn't invited. I switched jobs and moved out of state with my family. She had her baby, and then she finally called me in October to apologize and ask if we could make up. A full year after the road trip, and the longest we had ever not talked. I had calmed down by then. I am someone who prefers to forgive easily. My fellow people pleasers would understand that. And we made up. Oh, how I wish I had never answered that call. That Christmas, my youngest sister was diagnosed with borderline personality disorder when she was forcibly entered into a hospital psych ward. She had gone there for something medical. She had been sick, depressed, and got some kind of cold. And the staff at the hospital forcibly committed her. This is what her husband told me. Whoa.
Well,
what was she doing? Yeah, what was she doing?
Gotten aggressive or
she must
violent.
have.
Who knows?
They kept her for 2 weeks because she was self-harming and they worried she might hurt my niece. They prescribed her meds, counseled her, and she was forced to stick with both for months afterwards. Quick insert here, my sister is a terrible mother. When I was raising my own 2 kids, she would try to give me advice about how to raise them, but I would stop her because she didn't have kids at that time. She would tell me, you're not supposed to raise kids like that. The internet says, girl.
Dude. The internet says all kinds of
real
great stuff.
And I would shut her down with, you don't get to tell me how to raise my kids. I changed your diapers. This caused a lot of tension between us. Back to the story. When she had her kids, she raised them according to how the internet told her to raise them. And she made it clear that my advice was not welcome. I was fine with that. But secretly, I gloated because she turned her first child into a little monster. She believes you never say no to a kid and that you should coddle them when they cry. I truly disliked my niece for the first 4 years of her life until my sister got pregnant again and stopped the meds. When my nephew was born, my sister finally started saying no to my niece. And I actually like her now. She's become more like me, quieter, calmer, happy to have a little brother. She's become your typical older sibling. Her little brother is a little crap though. Little devil. But the point is, my sister wants to have more kids. She's decided she wants 4. So she's never returned to her meds because she's either breastfeeding, which she does for 2 years after every child, or she's trying to get pregnant. She had my nephew back in 2021, and she's been trying to get pregnant ever since. Where is the husband and all this? He's just kind of like, oh, okay, I know you need medication, but let's just have kids.
Yeah, he's just floating around. He's just up in the sky.
Clearly. She's miscarried twice since then, and now she's 43 weeks pregnant. You read that right. 43. She's 3 weeks overdue. Wow. And they're expecting the baby to be at least 10 pounds.
Whew. How much I was.
Dang.
At least. The doctors still aren't sure how much I weighed.
What?
That doesn't make sense. What?
How? How are they not sure?
They literally weigh
That's why they're unsure.
Where were you born?
Of course they're sure how much I weighed, you guys. Why are we taking this so serious?
What did you mean by that?
Yeah, what did you mean by that?
I don't know. I guess whatever it was, I achieved it because I had delivered it in a way where you went, no way.
Here's where my issues with her come in. When she commits to something, she commits. And right now, she is committed to becoming the scary kind of Catholic. I have nothing against Catholics, but she's got a giant picture of Jesus right next to her living room TV and has painted some ridiculous made-up phrase about grace on another living room wall that makes no sense to me. It's definitely not from the Bible. Her home is like a filthy, dirty loony bin because she doesn't really clean, and she's become a bit of a hoarder. When I visit, we don't leave her gross house. And she has given up her 4-year Ivy League degree to be a stay-at-home mom because I don't know. I really don't.
Well, I mean, sometimes, that happens.
Yeah.
That kind of happened to my mom. Like, my mom had she was an entrepreneur. She built businesses and stuff. And she had me and she was like, I am not spending any more time doing that.
I don't think that's that crazy of a thing to do.
Yeah. Sometimes people have a kid and they're like, oh, this is my thing now. I'm dropping everything for this creature that I gave birth to. I gotta take care of your
creature now. The last visit that I had with her 2 years ago, she told me not to say the word attracted to the same gender in front of her children because she didn't want to teach them about that. And her church says...
Okay, so for reference, that word was gay.
Yeah, for reference, she sucks. I cut her off and told her to shut the F up. My oldest is trans, non-binary, and you could say they're attracted to the same gender since they were assigned female at birth and now go by they, and my oldest likes girls. Before you ask, we're fine with it. We accepted it from day one. Well, a part of me is still holding on to the dream of being the best big sister ever and having super close relationships with my siblings. Secretly, I hate people who are close to their siblings. I get so jealous when my coworkers tell me how close they are to their siblings, that they have weekly meals together or go on trips together.
Boy, Opie's gonna hate you and Sam.
Yeah. Ooh, we live together.
Actually, me and my sister.
Yeah. Yeah, we both live with our siblings.
Pretty cool.
Pretty cool. I want that so bad, but it seems it's not in my stars. Still, I want to cut my sister off because she's way too intense for me now. Every phone conversation becomes an argument she has to win, even though we aren't arguing. Every phone call lasts at least an hour, and she always turns it into a praise Jesus session.
Praise Jesus.
I consider myself a Christian, but her ideas about Christianity are so absurd. Like, she literally said one time that the Catholic Church has never persecuted anyone ever. And she said the history books were just lying. She's straight up Delulu. I don't know if she would get better if she went back on meds. I wasn't really around when she was on them. But I feel like the more kids she has, the crazier she seems to get. I want out. I'm super low contact now, but I still want out. However, I can't seem to get rid of this guilt about it because she has no one left. No parents, no grandparents. She doesn't live near any of our relatives, and she's not close to any of them, even if she did. Her in-laws don't really like her, and I wouldn't be surprised if her husband divorced her one day. I think he's a saint for still being with her. I want to cut her off, but I know she's getting self-harming tendencies, and I do worry about my niece now. By the way, I'm just going to lead into that. You can listen to full episodes of stories just like this. Just go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or iHeartRadio and search for OK Storytime.
Indeed.
But there is a little bit left to the story.
Indeed.
If you cannot deal with her behavior anymore, and what's best for you is, limiting contact, then you got to do what's best for you. But it doesn't mean you have to go completely no contact if you still want to keep an eye on your niece.
Yeah. It's a hard situation to be in, acute mental illness is involved some way. It's never an excuse for behavior. It informs behavior.
Yeah.
But it's you have to make the call yourself on if, this is something that you can handle in your own life, because you can't be prioritizing somebody else's emotional state.
And also someone who's not getting medicated, who knows they should be medicated and is not being medicated.
You're not teenagers. Your sister has to make her own decisions about that stuff. No one can do it for her. I mean, unless she, I guess, goes to the hospital and probably attacks a nurse or something, whatever happened that got her put in a involuntary hold. But you're going to have to find a way to make peace with the fact that you can't make her do anything.
Exactly. Our aunt, who's the nicest, sweetest aunt in the world, in my opinion, and the one person I most try to emulate, thinks I should just forgive her and continue being there for her, but I can't. I want to let her go, but what's the magic phrase? I know I'm not really an a-hole because I'm still hanging around, but I want to be the a-hole. Unfortunately, I'm hardwired to be the people pleaser. Someone give me the magic phrase that will release the guilt, please. Help me become an a-hole.
No, I don't want to make you an a-hole.
No, I refuse.
I don't want to do that.
Can't change the fact that she has borderline personality disorder. And so it's just managing how much you're able, how much contact you're able to have with her for your, while also still maintaining your own mental health.
Right.
But that is the end of that story.